And hi, everybody. Welcome to our new look Chiefs Live here at One Arrowhead Drive. Of course, we wish the best to Josh Looney in his new career at the NCAA in Indianapolis, working on rebranding Division II. But we carry on here, and with me is the snapper, Kendall Gammon, the man on the sideline that you hear, a brilliant 15-year career as a long snapper. And I think the snapping position is important if you watch the Oakland,
just a
San
bit,
Diego
yes.
game.
You couldn't write that script, no.
Well, nobody's auditioning snappers anymore in this league. If you find one, hang on to them, and the Chiefs have a good one in Thomas Gafford. All right, now let's quickly talk about the loss to Atlanta to open the season. Overall, the Chiefs in this game, you can't overlook the fact that you gave up 8 straight possessions where the Falcons scored. It's a really good offensive football team. Chiefs shorthanded, but still, you got to slow them down at some point and get some stops, and the Chiefs couldn't do it.
Well, they couldn't, and you know what? You got to get off the field on third down, but the fact is they couldn't get them into third down very often, so that's an issue as well. They did a good job of stopping the run, I thought, but there was just too much there on the passing game. And you know what? And you got Julio Jones, Harry Carson, Roddy White, Tony Gonzalez. Those are some things to deal with. So certainly no easy task. You're banged up on the defense. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but it is what it is. You've got to deal with it, and that is the NFL.
Yep. Before we get into any more, though, on the show today, and we're going to talk more about the Atlanta game, we're going to look at the Buffalo Bills. This is September the 11th, and you were playing in the league in 2001. We'll never forget the day when the Giants came here 2 weeks after those terrible attacks. But as Americans, we should never, ever forget that day, the terror of that day. It has changed all of our lives since then. And quite honestly, the heroes of that day, specifically those on Flight 93, that saved our country from further destruction. Our broadcast partner is Len Dawson, the Pete Rozelle Award winner this year in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He does a great job of capturing where we just all need to stop and remember 9/11.
On the morning of September the 11th, 2001, the country awoke to one of the most horrific and shocking events ever to hit American soil. At 7:46 a.m. Central Time, a plane struck the World Trade Center in downtown New York City. Moments later, a second plane filled with innocent civilians followed, as did chaos and fear. It wouldn't end there, as terrorists hijacked yet 2 more planes. One found the way to the Pentagon, adding to the death and devastation, while another plane's fate, although fatal, landed in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. That plane fell short of its destination due to the determination and resolve of fellow Americans who caught wind of what had transpired earlier. They would not stand idle as their flight was headed for certain destruction of even more human lives. No, they took action, and much like our country, our mindset, we did not stand idle. Yes, we were stunned. We mourned. We felt sorry for those lost. We worried about our own lives, and if they too would return to normal. Like the passengers on Flight 93, we fought back and rose to the occasion. Rising from the ash of sorrow and shock, we remembered the definition of being an American, a country made of those whose very being was forged by adversity and molded through trying times. And at Arrowhead, 1,211 miles from ground zero, we too rose, never forgetting our brothers and sisters, regardless of what uniform they cheered for. Only a few Sundays after the terrifying events that unfolded that fateful September day, we rose. We rose to welcome the New York Giants to Arrowhead. We rose to cheer on our foes that day. We rose to donate anything we could. We rose to great heights, in fact, raising the largest amount of money in a single donation by a pro sports team and its fans. I was broadcasting the game that day, and I saw you, the Chiefs' kingdom, rising to defeat the fear and malice, the atrocity and hate that fueled the attacks on our great land and the people of the place we call home. And 10 years later, I ask this of you, Kansas City. Continue to remember. Remember how you acted when called upon. Remember how you felt that day, and just remember, period. New York, America, to anyone listening to this message far and wide, we will never forget.
We just wanted to take a moment to just, all of us, to kind of stop, remember that day. You think of the heroes, the people who gave their lives to save either the Capitol building or the White House in Flight 93. It's just a riveting moment. And we both remember where we were, and I remember that moment. Len talked about Chiefs fans raising hundreds of thousands of dollars to help the families of those who lost loved ones in the 9/11 tragedy.
Well, of course, and they didn't play football the next time, and when the Giants came in, the Chiefs fans do what they always do, which is give a classy reception and do some good things. And you know, you talk about it. I remember I was just sitting on the kitchen floor playing with my I think 4-year-old son Blaze, and some of those things just burn into your memory, and that's one of them.
Well, now we move on. We got to continue to look at the Atlanta game a little bit before we transition to the Buffalo Bills. And defensively, we alluded to it. Atlanta was able to move the ball 8 straight possessions and score. They had the short field 3 times, a couple turnovers, and the long 77-yard kickoff return by Jacquizz Rodgers. But when I watched the coach's tape yesterday, Kendall, there were some things that you can build on to take into Buffalo week. And one was the run defense. This play by Dontari Poe. Michael Turner never ran downhill in this game. His longest run was 11 yards. Ryan hurt them with scrambles.
Right.
But in the basic run defense, there was enough encouraging signs from the up front guys to think they could use it this week.
Well, you're right. And I'm going to start with when you talk about that long kickoff return. Something that doesn't happen very often is you go 3 and out and you still kick a field goal. But the field position made a difference there, but the defense got away with 3 instead of 7. So kudos to them. But you talked about Dontari Poe. We saw it a little bit ago. He was getting into people, getting his hands on people, getting off the blocks. He got penetration into the backfield. That is what you want a nose tackle to do. And Tyson Jackson did some good things as well. Eric Berry did some good things, but he was kind of in no man's land every once in a while because he's up there because you want to stop the run, and we did a good job of that. But in the end, you talk about the passing game and what happened there. The crossing routes hurt us quite a bit, and that's something that you have to fix, and certainly going into Buffalo, you have to be wary of.
There's Eric Berry's play against Tony Gonzalez, but truthfully, he wasn't in coverage a whole lot in this game. They went to that 2-3-6. He was up near the line of scrimmage. So we'll see how Romeo Crennel adjusts this week. But Romeo talked to the media yesterday, and he said as tough as it was to give up 40 points to the Atlanta Falcons, there were some things he was encouraged with.
Well, some of it was preseason, obviously. Do you have any sense of trouble with confidence with the defense right now? Because they've had 3 out of 4 games with pretty bad outings.
Well, like you say, 2 of them didn't count. This one counted, and that wasn't a good sign. But as you looked at the game, there are some good things that did occur in the game. In the fourth quarter, you make a 3rd down stop in the fourth quarter when the score has gotten up there already. And a lot of teams, don't have enough to pull it together to make that kind of play. And so there were some good plays that were made by the defense, even though, we didn't play well enough in the passing game, but there were some good plays that were made. And the fact that we were able to stop them when they ran the ball, I think that was a positive. We were able to get some pressure on the quarterback, but the ball was coming out quick. So you got to give those guys a pat on the back for getting the ball out quick. But Houston was in the quarterback's face a couple times, along with the sack that he got. We had some push on the pocket, but they were able to make the plays. And like I said, we were close on some, but we didn't make them. So, it's encouraging when you see that you can be close on a play. Now, what we have to do is we have to do that a little bit more that we need to do so that we can make the play. The fact that we were able to stop the run yesterday, I think that's encouraging for me. Now, hey, the points are the points, and we lost, and there's no getting around that. And, sometimes in this business when you lose, no matter what else you do, it doesn't make any difference, and we lost.
The NFL just keeps coming, Kendall, but if you can't defend base run plays, you have no chance in this league. And quite honestly, as the weeks go on, the Chiefs get some guys back. Tom Ahali comes back this week. We hope Brandon Flowers comes back. But if you can't defend the base run plays and people run downhill on you, you have no shot.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, the run is the quarterback's best friend. If you can establish the run, everything emanates from there. So that's something that the Chiefs have to continue to do. We see signs. We think they can do that. Conversely, you have to stop that with Buffalo, and that's going to be a tall task this week. So it'll be interesting. They have Fred Taylor go out, and you bring C.J. Spiller in, and he maybe does better than what Fred was going to do. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But It is a staple of the NFL because there is nothing worse on a team when you're out there and you're getting run on and you know the run's coming at you and you can't stop it. That it's just deflating to a team.
We'll talk about psychology of this game. You see the Chiefs were able to get their run game going a little bit. This was a great sign to see Jamal Charles getting busted down the field for that 46-yard run. If he doesn't get touched an ankle, you know he's probably going to run all the way to the house. But that being said, the psychology of this game and the psychology of this week. Now, the Atlanta game, we get about 5 minutes to kind of regroup at halftime, and I actually tweeted out the Chiefs had the first possession of the second half, and we'll get to the Chiefs offense in a second. But they had a chance, if they get 7, to go ahead at that point, 24-20.
Right.
Never had the lead. We said it was a tennis match. If they finally get the lead and basically the tennis analogy go up 30-15, how much could the psychology of the game change at that point?
It's huge. When you're playing from behind, now you start to maybe press a little bit, do some things that you don't want to do. And again, you know, at the very least, if you could have tied the game, you're at least hold and serve with them. But again, you can't stress enough how big it would have been to go up by a few points there in Arrowhead with the crowd going crazy. Now you start to rather force some more communication issues with the QB and his offensive line from Atlanta's side of things. So it is what it is. It didn't happen, but that's what you're looking for.
Instead, Atlanta just kept comfortable right there, took a 2-score lead, and then things went downhill from there.
Right.
Now, that leads me to the psychology of the locker room this week. And let's just take it down to the defense. They gave up 40 points, 8 straight possessions of Atlanta scoring. But the psychology of the locker room, we talked about Romeo Crennel, but the leadership from the players themselves, how much does it have to come from a guy like Derek Johnson who's been in this league? Eric Berry told me last night on the Chiefs Kingdom he feels responsible. It started at 7:30 Monday morning. But what about a guy like Derek Johnson?
Well, Derek Johnson's a former teammate of mine. I've watched him grow up because I've been around in the latter years of my career and then with the Chiefs Radio Network and reporting on the games. And this is a guy that takes responsibility for everything. He knows he's gotten better. He's grown emotionally. Certainly his skills have grown. But how he conducts himself on the field, he leads by example, but he's gotten a little bit more vocal. That's not completely his style, but he does a nice job of it. He has a calming presence about him. I've just watched him grow, and he's the type of leader that you want on that defense. Rather, you've got him there. You've got Eric Berry, as you talked about, morphing into that already in his 3rd year, but 2nd year of playing really. So the defense banged up, didn't do as well, and you talked about they give up the 40 points. But again, with 3 turnovers, and they did some good things on the turnovers. There are several times where they stopped them from getting a touchdown, and they forced the 3 points. It's just the fact is, when you're -3, those kind of things happen.
Yeah, just before the half was another time where they were able to hold them and give the Chiefs a chance to take the lead, as we must mention. That didn't happen. But Derek Johnson's a stand-up guy. He is a leader on this team. He's been on this team since 2005, a first-round draft pick, and he knows that he has got to take the lead in trying to help fix this defense.
Well, it's the NFL. You know, we get paid to play, get paid to win, and we didn't do a very good job with that today.
How many adjustments did you have to make with the missing guys?
Well, you adjust a little bit. You adjust more in the game due to game plan and stuff. But hats off to Atlanta. They did a heck of a job. Kind of beat us down a little bit. I thought we played okay in the first half, just okay. Second half didn't do much.
Why not? It was more of a game plan thing, or was it an effort thing?
It wasn't an effort deal. It's just not even a game plan deal. I put the onus on the players. Players out there winning. Coaches call plays, and you got to make plays out there, and we didn't make very many, including myself.
Can't get to the quarterback at all today either. I mean, is that because Tamba wasn't there? What went on?
Well, you know, Tamba would have helped, of course, but you got to find a way. You can't have excuses. I didn't even think about Tamba this week. That's just how it is in the NFL. We was preparing to win this game.
Is it good to have a game maybe like this, week 1 of the season, to kind of wake everybody up a little bit?
No, never good to have a game like this. But it does test how tough we are. You know, our character is definitely going to be challenged, and we are going to get better. We are going to get better. That's the thing about football. Got 15 more games. It's not the end of the world at all. It counts just one game. That's the best part about it.
And that's why I like Derek Johnson so much. You stand there after you give up 40 points. The easy thing to do is run for your car.
Right.
He stood there in front of everybody, took those questions, but he stood there Monday morning. He'll be there today, even on a day off, and Wednesday early in the morning to get this team ready to go again. You need leadership in the locker room to keep it together.
You're exactly right. People want to be led. Players want to be led. He's one of the leaders. He's going to get the defense back going. And again, he's accountable for what's going on. Is it all on him? No, of course not. But you've got to have somebody step up and do those things. He's doing a great job of it.
Well, the offense gave some excitement to Kansas City in the first half. And if the Chiefs couldn't stop Atlanta, the Falcons couldn't stop the Chiefs either. That was a very good sign because we saw an indication. Matt Castle played well in the first half. We saw the weapons, the variety of weapons that you and I saw during the preseason and in St. Joe come alive. Charles with a 46-yard run. Boss had an awesome catch. And Dexter McCluster in the slot position. Now he's found a home. He created some havoc in there, and there was some good throws from Castle to him. And McCluster, you can see the confidence build. McCluster and Castle, Castle and McCluster.
You're exactly right. He got in that zone. Castle did a nice job of hitting him on stride several times where he could run because, Dexter McCluster, this is a guy, he's not big, but he relies on that quickness, and he's very, very tough. But growing up playing not it, he was never it. This is a guy who is all over the place. He's scatty. You see him a couple times, he gets hit and he doesn't go down. And other times, he's smart. He knows his size. If he's coming there, he doesn't let people take a full shot on him. But, I had a chance to talk to him after the game, and this is a guy, we talked about it in terms of it was his day, 6 catches, I think 82 yards. But you've got a lot of weapons in Bo, and you didn't see Baldwin as much. You mentioned Boss. He makes a career catch. That's what I like about the offense. And notwithstanding, of course, you've got Jamal Charles and Peyton Hillis who will lend his help as well. So you've got weapons. Brian Daboll can dial up a lot of different things, and it's going to be any given person on any given day, I think.
Well, it was a great first half for Kansas City to stay right toe-to-toe with that great Atlanta offense. And you did talk to Dex after the game. He knows this offense can be really good this year.
Definitely we came out, we started fast, doing little things right, playmakers making plays, everybody playing for each other. Came out second half and just did things that we normally don't do. We started pressing a little bit. Just got to let the game come to us and keep going and doing the same thing that we did the first quarter to ultimately try to get that win.
Okay, in the first half, you guys are successful. Did they do anything in the second half, adjustment-wise, that went with you, or was it more just you guys not making the plays?
It was more no adjustment, just more of us just having to step up and make the plays. We knew what we had in. They hadn't stopped us all game, and we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. But I mean, it's a long season marathon. One down, we still got 15 more to go at least.
6 catches, 82 yards. A good day for you personally. I know it doesn't matter because you want to win, but it is nice to know that you're getting some catches there. And it's an offense that really have a lot of weapons. Baldwin doesn't get the ball a lot today, nor does Bo, but it was your day today, and it probably could be somebody else's any other day.
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of weapons. A lot of guys have to step up. We have a lot of playmakers. You're going to have days like that. I might have a day to where I don't have any catches. I just got to go out there and play and, help open others up.
Well, now it's time to move on to Buffalo, and both teams are back against the wall after week 1. The Chiefs give up 40, the Bills give up 48. Bills play at home in their home opener. This is a team that has hurt the Chiefs in recent years. Actually blown out the Chiefs last year and a couple other times. Kansas City was able to win 20-10 in the 2010 season late in the game on a suck-up field goal. That was a crazy game. Eric Berry got a key interception against Ryan Fitzpatrick. But this Buffalo team, your thoughts overall on them? Here's the series history. You can see the 54-31 game. And then they were able to pick Castle several times the 09 game. Chiefs win it in 10, but then get walloped last year in the opening game. This is a gigantic game now for the Kansas City Chiefs.
You know what, Mitch, it really is. And the part that I don't like about it is the fact that you've got a wounded animal. And in terms of they really got it handed to them. They got embarrassed in every sense of how you would describe things. They didn't get pressure on Sanchez. He has a career day, maybe an all-time day, I think. They have some people go out with injury. They have the receiver, I forget his name right now, but then of course you have Fred Taylor go down. C.J. Spiller comes in and does some good things. And they've got some weapons, and that's C.J., somebody who we'll talk about also. But in general, go into Buffalo when, again, I said they're wounded. You've got to be ready to go because by the same token, the Chiefs don't feel good about their performance as well. But the last thing that you want to do is start 0-2. You want to get back to 1-1 and get going.
Tamba Hali will be back for Kansas City. We're not sure if the Chiefs will have Brandon Flowers. So again, how will he progress? Flowers, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, fly there Saturday, wait for the inactive report an hour and a half before the game. Is Brandon out there? We do know Tamba Hali will be there. Kendall, what does Tamba Hali bring to the table for the Chiefs this week in the Buffalo?
Well, he brings a leadership sense to it as well, and he's very, very quiet. We all know that, but it is a cliche, but his motor is full-time. It is all over the place. He's going to be going against left tackle. I think it's Cordy Glenn, a big 6'5", 330-pound guy out of Georgia, I believe. But the fact is he's a rookie, and Tamba is a Pro Bowl player, had 14 sacks last year. This is something that has to give this game. He has to make a difference there, even if they have to maybe help out with him as far as offensively Buffalo chipping. If they neutralize Tamba a little bit, at least he gives one-on-ones to the other guys, and maybe on the other side as well. But I think it's the quickness. At 335, 340, you're not going to bull rush the guy, but you've got to use your quickness and your leverage, and that's something that Tamba does very, very well.
And when they go to their specialty and sub packages, Alan Bailey's another guy you'd hope they get back at some point. He's on that defensive injured list. And you kind of alluded to this, but when they go to their specialty, how much does Tamba being there help a Justin Houston? We saw Houston get the sack at the end of the half in the Atlanta game. But even an Eric Berry, depending on where they line him up, or a Derek Johnson if they send him, or some of those up front guys, how much does that help everybody else having Tamba on the field?
Well, it's enormous because I said he's this full max guy that just goes and goes, and he doesn't always beat guys on that first move, but he continues, he's relentless, and then if you can compromise the integrity of the pocket inside and not give the QB a chance to step up, now that the tackles who think that they can push him around the edge don't have that luxury anymore because the QB hasn't stepped up. But also, if he's putting that pressure there and they have to do something, well, you hope number 50, who I think can have a breakout year in Justin Houston, you hope he gets it going from the other side. And that's a tandem that could be really, really good for years in the NFL.
You played in this league 15 years. Fans always ask about the revenge factor. I mean, the Bills embarrassed the Chiefs last year, let's be honest.
Right.
Let's just go through this. Chiefs fumble the opening kickoff. They have defensive pass interference on the first play. Eric Berry gets hurt on a controversial play. I'm going to talk about it later in the week on KCChiefs.com. It led to a rule change in the National Football League, let's be honest. Berry goes out on the first series for the year. Offensively, they suffer a sack, go 3 and out twice. This thing was over before it began, and now you're playing the same team, both teams desperate to win. Walk through the psychology of that. And is revenge a factor in the NFL?
Well, I think it is. I mean, when I say that, it's in terms of you look back. What you want is you want respect from your teammates. You want respect from the other team as well. And if that team in the past, either that season or in the past seasons, embarrassed you, you want to get back out and show what you can do. And this is something that I think the Chiefs will have. In my 15 years in the locker room, you always had things up on the billboard of what was going on in the other locker room in terms of what they were talking about. In this case, you can just simply put up stats from last year and what happened, and that can really be a motivating factor. And it is real.
A couple final things before we let you go. As we look at Ryan Fitzpatrick here, the Bills have made a stand with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They said he's the guy. They've got some other options. Brad Smith did not play in this game. We've seen that he can be a multiplicity of factors, but I was stunned with Fitzpatrick in this game. 3 interceptions. They were all critical. This is a guy that's a veteran. He has played well against Kansas City in the past, but that is not a stat line the Bills want to see from the guy that they've said he is their quarterback, lock, stock, and barrel.
Well, you're right. And they made the commitment to him before last year's season, I believe, with a huge contract. He didn't perform that well last year. You talked about the 3 interceptions. Actually, there could have been 2 more. And I mean, they broke on the ball. They just happened to go through the defender's hands. So he did not perform very, very well. In my watching of the film yesterday, I saw a guy that was getting pressure. They were getting pressure on him. He seemed a little bit flustered, which I wouldn't have expected. I saw him throwing off his back leg, and that's something you never want to do. So he's got to come back, and you would think a guy like that has a pride factor, and then he'll want to do that. But that comes back to what we talked full circle in terms of what you led with, which is Tamba Hali and the Kansas City Chiefs pass rush has to get pressure on him to force some things.
Final question before we let you go. Chiefs offensive line in the first half did a great job, I thought, against the Atlanta Falcons. When it was 2 possessions down, things started to get a little different. Atlanta started to play a little bit differently, coming at Kansas City, and there were some things, honestly, weren't handled very well. John Abraham got around Brandon Albert for a sack. Buffalo has spent a chunk of change on its defensive line. First-round pick Marcel Darius. They get Mario Williams in the offseason. But a guy named Kyle Williams is the other guy on the inside. We watched him last year up close. What about their defensive front and the Chiefs' offensive line trying to handle those guys?
Well, you kind of bring it up in the terms of when you look at them on paper, they should be doing some great things. And he hurt us last year. But again, The offensive line for the Chiefs has been has been revamped quite a bit, and you've got two new people in Hudson and on the right tackle, Eric Winston, and who better, I think, to have a going against a guy like Mario Williams than Eric. But, you know, when you look at Buffalo's game last week, Mario Williams was non-existent. I mean, he had one tackle. I would have thought somebody would have at least tripped over him. But so you say, is that a good thing because he's not playing as well? Or is he a wounded animal now too and trying to prove that? So that's something that the Chiefs have to build on, though, in terms of, you talked about it, their first half performance and what they did. And you know what? It's really tough. When you get down by more than two scores, the defense can pin their ears back. They're just trying to rush. They're playing the run on the way to the passer, and that's the worst thing as an offensive lineman that you can deal with.
All right, man. Got to get this done.
Absolutely.
Got to go on the road and win and get back to 1-1. A challenge for everybody on this football team, even on the radio crew, man. Got to feel the challenge. But we come back. We're going to take a closer, in-depth look at the Buffalo Bills as Kansas City and Buffalo both feel like they need to win this week. He's Kendall Gammon. I'm Mitch Holthus. Let's take a special look from the folks at Ford.
Across the 40, Charles is going to go. See you later.
Since the 1970s, the percentage of overweight children has tripled in the United States. The Chiefs, along with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, invite you to join us in the battle against childhood obesity. To learn more, click on the banner to the right of this video.
I think we're part of a very special family that's connected in many different ways. Not just here in Kansas City, but let's talk about the fans around the country. I have great memories, fond memories of this city, this town. More importantly, the fans, because they're the ones who supported us. Yeah, it's unbelievable that I've been a part of more than half of this team's existence here in Kansas City. I feel very fortunate that I was able to be a part of that history.
The biggest thing with our fans, I mean, when you got like thousands of fans in there just behind you, like, let's go Chiefs, we can do this, we need you guys today. You know, those little words right there get me in the mind frame like, okay, it's not just the 11 that's on defense, the 11 on offense, the 11 on special teams. Shoot, we got all these fans behind us. We got them behind us and they believe in us. You know, we got no choice but to go out there and play hard and hustle for these guys because they're here in the cold, whether it's hot, they're in St. Joe with us. Like, they ride with us wherever we go. So, I mean, we see them at away games too. So that's a big plus too. You know we have loyal fans.
Well, it's time to go to Buffalo, and the Kansas City Chiefs need to win on the road against the Bills. It has not been a great place for Kansas City to go down through the years, and the Bills have been a problem against the Chiefs 3 of the last 4 years. Again, Kansas City got that victory against Buffalo in 2010, and that was huge. It was a crazy day. Lindell misses a field goal late. Eric Berry gets an interception, and the Chiefs win that in overtime on a Ryan Succop kick. For Kansas City, though, to have a chance, it's like we talked about earlier in the week. Kansas City must stop the base run game of Buffalo. C.J. Spiller now fills in. Fred Jackson is out for this game. But Buffalo's offensive line did a very good job, even though they lost this game by 20 points. Spiller is explosive. He was on his way to a 200-yard rushing day in a game the Bills lost by 20 points. You rarely see that in the National Football League. Spiller's got change of direction, and he's got the second gear right here where he can run past the second level and just scream by the third level. C.J. Spiller could be a problem for the Chiefs in this game if they can't handle. This is a power O situation. Levitra, their veteran guard, able to get a hole for him. So for Kansas City defensively, up front, that front seven for the Chiefs, it's not just about rushing the passer, getting Tamba back this week. It's also about defending the run game of the Buffalo Bills. Offensively, Kansas City showed some great signs last week, especially in that first half. Atlanta couldn't stop them. And it's a veteran Atlanta defense, particularly in the secondary. But the New York Jets got a career day from Mark Sanchez against the Bills. This is a Bills defense which has spent a lot of money up front, and in the secondary, they got some experienced guys that they're trying to blend into their first-round draft pick at right corner and a second-year player at left corner. And yet there is some experience back there, and those experienced guys have had some big days against the Chiefs in the past. But in the Jets game, Sanchez was able to light them up, spreading the ball around to almost everybody that had a chance to catch it. The Jets scored 48 points in this game, most in franchise history in an opener. And look at Sanchez. He had his best day as a quarterback of the New York Jets in this game against a division rival. One positive sign for Kansas City was the fact that they too were able to spread the ball around against the Atlanta Falcons. Boss had hit his awesome catch. Bo had some great catches in the game. We talked about Dexter McCluster early in the week and what he was doing out of the slot position. Jamal Charles got it going on an explosive run of 46 yards. And yet there's some things the Chiefs could work on. John Baldwin did not get involved in this game. He did not have a catch. They did not target him once. But again, there's a lot of comma weapons in this game that Matt Castle can use. If the Chiefs can protect Matt Castle and he's got a chance to view the field, Kansas City can move the ball on a Buffalo defense which struggled last week against the New York Jets. Thanks for joining us again on Chiefs Live. You can join us online. You can follow the show all week long on kcchiefs.com. Plus, we've got more features than ever before. Stay hooked up, stay online, and follow your favorite football team. A special thanks to Kendall Gammon for joining us earlier, as Kansas City's got to get it done now, bounce back week to try to win on the road against Buffalo.